Hi everybody, welcome back. My name's Morgan. This is my channel, Pisces Paperbacks, and today I'm going to be giving you a list of books that made me cry. I have been having an ongoing, visceral, emotional reaction to the 10-minute version of All Too Well by Taylor Swift. I will not call myself a Swiftie. I've never, I like her music, but I haven't listened to all of it. I haven't listened to any of her most recent 4 albums, but, and I've never listened to the original All Too Well before I listened to the 10-minute version. I listened to the 10-minute version first, sobbing on the way to work. Truly sobbing. I've listened to it probably 30 times in the last, just this morning. So I'm obsessed with it, and it is making me cry, and so I thought that that would be a good energy to channel into something, maybe? I don't know. But I am a crier. I'm an emotional person. That's fine with me. I'm a Pisces, and I thought that I would make a video about letting you know about some books that made me cry. I will say that I've made this video before in 2019. It was one of the very first videos I made on this channel, so I'll link that up above. I think it's still cute. I was in college and I had just read Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, and that book, I don't know what it was about it, but something in that book affected me deeply, and I sobbed while I read it. So I was like, let's give some throwbacks. So all the books that I mentioned in that video are books that I read prior to BookTube. Everything I'm going to mention in this video is a book that I've read in the last 2 years. So that's kind of the gist of what's going to happen here. And let's get started. They're in no particular order. They're kind of in reverse order from when I read them, starting with the most recent, but also they're in the order of if I remembered them as I was going. So let's begin. Number 1, something that I read last week, last week. And I also, you've already heard about in my most recent vlog, The Dead in the Dark by Courtney Gould. Small town YA horror, girls developing feelings for each other. I really, really liked this book, but the thing that made me cry was the themes of loneliness. Sometimes something there's a line or two, and they just get you. You know what I mean? They just get you, and it hurts. That one got to me. Not too bad, but it did. And then next, something that did get to me real bad, Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. I also have a vlog of this. I'll link that up above. This book it's about a guy who in his life was a Scrooge and just a bitch, just a horrible person. And then after he dies, has to go to this tea shop to kind of reflect on his life and accept his death. And he befriends the people living there and the Reaper named Hugo. And I will say this book, in plot, and it was very weirdly paced, and I don't think TJ Klune really knew what he was gonna put in this story, even though he clearly knew he had a story he wanted to tell. I sobbed for most of this book, I would say, and I love this book, and it was 5 stars, but I will openly admit that I love it more for its themes and the way it talks about its themes than any actual plot points that happen in the book. Okay, just putting that out there. This book is about grief and loss and dealing with death of a loved one, and it's just a lot of that is really spoken about in a way that I connected to, which I don't think everybody else will. So if you're looking at this book and you're seeing all the mixed reviews and you're maybe I don't want to pick it up, honestly, fair. I love it, but it's not gonna be for everyone. Anyway, Under the Whispering Door, man, that was a rough day for me. Another one that I've talked about a lot this year, because it's still my favorite book I've read this year. It was also the first book I read this year, Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. The crying. I think about that book every day. I think about Gideon every day, and I cried for I think 2 hours at the end of that book. I mean, you probably know what it's about. I've talked about it before. Necromancers in space trying to become immortal, but also solve a murder mystery, and also they're lesbians. And it's just the book itself is so funny and nearly incomprehensible, but the emotions and the characters and the relationships and the plot, that book does a lot for me emotionally, and I'm not going to apologize for it. And the way that I am waiting for the third book, that's going to be the end of me. I know there's a fourth book now because they extended the series, but even the third book I think is going to end me. And that's okay. I'm good with that. 5 on this list is a little bit of a weird one. It's Things in Jars by Jess Kidd, which is this really strange kind of Victorian mystery novel, like detective novel, but written in this super stylized way and kind of about mythical creatures. It's like a sprinkling fantastical because there's a ghost in it as well. And I would say this one's a bit interesting because I really liked it, but for most of the book I was like, okay, this is fine, I get it, it's fine. And then on the second to last page, there's like a 2-paragraph conversation between 2 characters, and it sent me into a tailspin of emotion, and I haven't recovered yet. Every time I'm like, I think I'm in the mood for a good cry, I pick up Things in Jars, I open it to the last chapter, I read the last chapter, and then I sob. And you know what? I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it's so good. Just the slow, it's not a slow burn romance, but the slow burn build up to that conversation over the course of the entire book. Lay me to rest. Lay me to rest. I'm not okay. Number 6 is one that a lot of you are probably going to relate to, and that's The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Chbosky. This was not one where I only cried for a little bit. This is one where I sobbed on and off the entire book, which took me, I think I binged and I read it in like 4 hours. Listen, I didn't read The Perks of Being a Wallflower when I was a teenager. I wasn't even aware that book existed until the movie came out, and then I never actually sat down and like watched and paid attention to the movie. I've seen the movie a couple times. Every single time I had to have somebody explain to me what happened at the end because I was like, wait, what happened? What's he doing? Why is he like I wasn't like processing the content of the movie any of the times that I watched it. So to read the book, it was just a lot. If you're not aware, Perks of Being a Wallflower is a coming-of-age epistolary novel about a boy named Charlie who is going into his freshman year of high school after like losing his best friend, his like only friend, to suicide, and he kind of becomes friends with this group of seniors, and it's about his relationships with them and his relationships with like himself and trying to understand his trauma. It's a lot. I love epistolary novels and I don't read them enough, so that was also really exciting for me, but Perks of Being a Wallflower, that's a good book. I mean, we all know it is, but that's a good one. Then I have a more recent one. The next book on this list is Space Opera by Catherynne M. Valente. I read this in September, and again, similarly to Things in Jars, this wasn't a book where I like cried the whole time, but there are like 2 moments where it's just like, I remember I took Marcy on a walk, and it was like really late because I had gotten out of work at like 10 and decided that I wanted to take her on a walk. So I was walking around the neighborhood. It was dark. I was just listening to my music or to my audiobook, and there's something about listening to a book about humans going into space to try and justify humanity while being alone at night and being able to see the stars and just having to contemplate, like, for all the terrible things that humanity does, is it worth it to save? And is art and love and beauty and connection enough to justify it? And the answer is like, of course, always yes. There's so much beauty to find, and there's so many things that are amazing to love and to cherish and experience. And sometimes things are just so fucked up. And just to like feel that energy so hard, it's like the middle of the night, I feel like I'm in a world by myself with just me and my dog walking around. The tears. It was an out-of-body experience, I gotta say. I really, really liked Space Opera. That's not gonna be a book for everyone. It's okay. I also didn't describe it. I don't know if I need to describe like synopses for this video, but I'm gonna do, I guess, a mini one anyway. It's about humans and aliens come to Earth and are like, hey, looks like you guys are going to be able to join, like, do like intergalactic travel soon, but you seem like you might fuck up like the intergalactic community we already have, so you need to prove that you're sentient by competing in our Eurovision style singing competition. And like that's the plot. The next book, another one that's kind of like about art, and that is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This was one of my favorite books I read last year. This is a book that's really about stories and the love of stories and the love of books and the love of remembering. And there's so many layers. This book is really about this guy Zachary Ezra Rawlings, who discovers a book that has a story from his own childhood in it, and he realizes this book was from this place called the Starless Sea, which is like this magical underground library. And there's people who devote their entire lives to the library in different ways, and he's just like, did I miss my chance to get there? I want to find this library and this Starless Sea and save it from something. And the way that the actual plot of the book is connected and interspersed with these interludes of stories that are in books in the Starless Sea and how it all kind of connects was just like, first of all, mind-boggling and emotionally devastating, and I really can't wait to reread that book. I want to reread it next month, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Now we have a nonfiction. The 9th book on this list is Little Weirds by Jenny Slate. This was my favorite nonfiction book I read last year. It's like a kind of memoir, I would call it creative nonfiction. I wouldn't say that it's quite poetry, but each chapter is kind of this weird creative essay about a different aspect of Jenny Slate's life, as she's, I think she got divorced, or there was like a breakup. I think she got divorced. And so it's kind of like about her childhood, turning her into the woman who got into that relationship, and then how she wants to grow out of it into like her own woman and what kind of woman she wants to be. And she wants to be this weird, creative, off the wall, like she wants to just be like herself in this untamed, authentic way. And it was just like, there's one chapter about her going to the beach with her friends that like I listened to, and I listened to this book mostly while I was at work, so I didn't get to like fully cry, because that was back last year when I worked at the garden center, so I didn't get to fully cry about it. The way I sobbed when I got home, I re-listened to the chapter and I was like, this is the worst day of my life. I loved it. Now, to end on a good note, last book in this video, happy tears. I cried happy tears reading Take a Hint, Dani Brown. There's something about romance novels that are perfect. There's something about perfect romance novels that just like bring it out of me, because I am so happy for them to have figured their shit out and to get a chance to be together and to work on it and tell each other that they love each other in a genuine, honest, and vulnerable way that just, it takes the tears out of my eyes instantly. Like, I binged most of Take a Hint, Dani Brown. I think I read the first like 70 pages in one day, and I think I read the other like 300 pages in the next day, and I can't even describe to you like the way that my body fills up with this fuzzy, warm feeling. I know it's warm and fuzzy, but this like feeling of like golden light just like trying to burst out of my heart of happiness. That's how that book made me feel, and it made me cry, and I'm not ashamed of that. That's it. That's all the books I want to talk about. I'm a crier. I'm not ashamed of it, and you should listen to the All Too Well Taylor's version, 10-minute version on our new album. It's so good. And I listened to like the original version, and it's like also very good, but like she cut like half the best lines, and I'm just like, girl, I know that they're all good lines, but you kept me like a secret, but I kept you like an oath. Shut the fuck up. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you do this to me? I need to go listen to the music video again, contemplate my life, and cry about it. So I'll see you guys next time. Let me know in the comments, do you cry about books? And do you do it as often as I do? Probably not. That's probably healthy. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.